fixed for stars?
How are you fixed for?
We'll go ahead and start the meeting. Welcome to everybody. Nice to see you all here today. During roll call, I know Veronica Gallardo is not here. She will be here shortly. Just a little traffic problem. Any items to be taken out of order today? Any hearings of citizens, Angie? No. Okay, then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of July 24th, 2014.
I move approval.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, next is communications. We'll start right in with Kim. Kim Burnham.
Still getting used to how quickly that happens.
Not like the good old days.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President Gaskin.
That's not working.
Notice that?
No, it is.
Good afternoon. I don't have a lot to report. We have just had our retreat on August 20th, but I do want to just celebrate the start of fall classes. The faculty members are all really excited. It's that chance to set expectations for the semester and begin to create community in the classroom, and everybody is really in that exalted phase of the start of the semester, and that's why we're here. We do always have the problem of finding enough classes for students, especially those English and math classes. It's a problem we continue to work on. And I just wanted to briefly mention a couple highlights from our retreat. That is a chance when we get to spend a day together. And we do have new members, so we start with a review of the senators' duties. And as you know, I was so new to this job, I read the Constitution about 5 times and annotated it. So I shared some highlights of our Constitution with them. And the main issue we do still need to work on is how we're communicating with our divisions and our faculty as a whole. So that is something that we are focusing on for the year. The goals are still emerging for the year. We didn't finish that, and I'm hoping by next fall we'll have something in place that we'll work off of. I do know that we are going to be focusing a lot on the Academic Senate's involvement with the Educational Master Plan, and particularly the strategic goals and directions there. You remember that was a new plan that we developed last year, and what's really exciting about that plan is the idea of that it's a vibrant plan that's going to evolve and change and respond to what's actually happening among all of our constituent groups. So we need to think more about how those channels are going to happen. And so that is on our agenda for the year. One other element of that is the new Program Evaluation Committee. So we're all excited to see what that new committee contributes to that process. So that's all I wanted to share at this time. Are there any questions? Okay, happy fall.
Happy fall. Next is the report by Associated Students. It's Gracie, are you here? Hello.
Okay. Hello, members of the board, Dr. Gaskin. My name is Gracie Maynetto. I'm the new student body or Associated Student Government Student Senate President. So I don't have much to report today just because we haven't met, and tomorrow is our first meeting, but we do have a full board, so we have a full board. We are still waiting to bring some new senators in, so we're just waiting on senators. By the 3rd week that our Senate should be full and it'll be closed off. What we have worked on over the summer is we've worked on a collaboration with UCSB. I've met with Beatrice. She is Beatrice Contreras. She's the External Vice President of Local Affairs at UCSB, and we've met and we're hoping to collaborate this coming year and for years to come with UCSB and Santa Barbara City College. Right now we're working on just student initiatives and our student community in Isla Vista, so we're going to be working on Halloween together. So that's one of our big initiatives this year. Okay. And that's all I really have to report.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Gracie?
Yeah.
What is the name of the campaign for Halloween? Was it the Keep It Safe, Keep It Local?
Keep it safe, keep it local.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a campaign that we're going to discuss tomorrow, and we're hoping to launch it here at City College this year.
So keep it safe, keep it
Keep
local.
it safe, keep it local. So Halloween, there are a lot of students from out of the area that come, so we're going to just try to encourage the students that do live here to keep it safe and to keep it within the students of Santa Barbara and UCSB.
All right. Anything else?
Any more questions?
Welcome, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is report on classified employees, Liz Auchincloss.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. The consultation group hasn't met yet. We met next week, so there's nothing to report there. I did want to acknowledge all the work the staff have done to get school ready. Staff worked very hard for a while, and they have to do a lot of work to get all the classes ready and to get everybody enrolled and get the grounds all ready, so I just want to acknowledge that. And another thing I just wanted to mention, it's kind of a personal issue. We have a lot of talk about our students and how they act outside. Well, sometimes we have great students. I had an interaction with a young man last Friday. I was carrying something heavy, which I sometimes do in my job, and he was new student, young man, first time here. He was here, I think, for the new student orientation, and I was carrying around, kind of watching where I was going so I didn't fall down. And out of the blue, he says, "Well, can I help you?" I said, "Well, why not?" He helped me carry it all the way back to the shop with nothing, just, out of the blue, didn't know him, and I just think we got some great students, so I just wanted to relay that story. It was very nice and touching to me. Any
Very
questions? Okay.
Thank you, Liz. Dr. Gaskin.
Thank you. As everyone has noted, it does take a village to start school, and our village has been working so collaboratively for so long, and we launched it really quite well. We began with, long before, many months ago, once 13-14 ended, we began prepping for this one. So it's been a long haul. All-campus kickoff, we felt, went really well, and I received nothing but positive feedback about our keynote speaker, who focused on student equity, and that's very important with us. That goes hand in hand with the announcement that we just received that we were awarded $3 million for the U.S. Department of Education Hispanic Serving Institution grant. This is our third one that deals with enhancing the gold completion, degree completion, and transfer of all of our students, but most notably our underrepresented minorities. So this is kudos to you for your leadership and to all the hard work of our faculty and staff for making this happen. As far as full semester goes, we are up approximately 1%. That's exactly where we had targeted, up 1% from last year. And as you know, what our goal is to try and reach our funded base, absent any borrowing from the summer. While the state has growth built in, we did not factor in growth into our budget, and you'll be reminded of that when Joe and Lindsay present, because we have seen signs across the state that growth simply is not being restored. People are doing other things like working. But we're very pleased that we're meeting our targeted projected FTES. So kudos to Jack and to the division chairs and the deans for making that happen. I am pleased to announce that we have reaffirmed our very strong partnership with Cottage Health Systems. You know that we had a 5-year agreement in place where Cottage was a very robust partner in supporting our nursing program and in training ADNs, associate degree nurses. And that has been reaffirmed and extended for another 3 years, and it's an absolute win-win for Cottage and for the institution. So really heartfelt appreciation to Ron Wirth and all of the individuals at Cottage who see the need to train the next generation of nurses. And then finally, your staff has been very much involved and busy in addressing issues that relate to the Isla Vista tragedy, as well as just a very community-wide approach to student civility and community building. And I sent around a video that I recorded that many of the faculty shared But most notably, I have to call out Dr. Ben Partee, Allison Curtis, Dr. Jack Friedlander, and I'm going to add myself to that because it's almost 4 full-time jobs to make sure that we are partners and we are collaborators in helping to solve this issue for the long term. And as well, Marty Bloom for representing the board in a task force, which is going to be very important, that deals with our perimeter neighborhoods. So a lot going on to that end. We hosted our group, San Luis Obispo, the city of San Luis Obispo, here to share with us how Cuesta College, Cal Poly, and the city interact and how they address some of the notable opportunities and challenges that they have had. So it is moving full steam ahead, and Marianne is involved certainly in leading as well neighbors and residents in Isla Vista in terms of trying to get a handle on this. So that's it. Very busy start to the year and a lot to look forward to.
All right, we'll have reports from other board members, committee chairs. Who would like to go?
The Facilities Committee met, and as you received, most of the discussion was on change orders, relatively small change orders, related to things that were discovered as construction was occurring, and then one notice of completion. The committee enjoyed the discussion and enjoyed a short meeting, and we are recommending approval of these orders.
Fiscal Committee met August 11th, and we reviewed the actual versus budget report for fourth quarter year-to-date, the Chancellor's Office annual state budget workshop update, and the proposed budget that is before you today. I think probably the best thing is for all of the board members to pay close attention to the presentation on the budget rather than get into any comments at this point. There's a lot to see and digest.
And educational policies, no report for today. All right. So, Lori, did you want to introduce our first report?
Yes. What we'd like to do is on an annual basis at the close of business of the Center for Lifelong Learning, which typically occurs in late summer, is to present to you an overview of the year that ended. And this is our first time we're able to do this, and I'm really, really pleased to present Andy Harper, who is the director of our Center for Lifelong Learning, and I think you'll be pleased with what Andy is going to share.
Dr. Gaskin, members of the Board of Trustees, first of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to describe for you our first year activities and results, and then to introduce some projections for next year, 2014-2015. So I'll begin with an overview of 2013-2014, beginning with the contact hours and the tuition fee revenue for last year. And our statistics show that we attained 85% of our contact hours, and therefore our tuition revenue, compared to our conservative budget that we introduced to you in April 2013. However, we actually made a small $20,000 margin in the end, as we made up the shortfall in tuition fee revenue with the lab fees, materials fees, sponsorships, and trust fund transfers. With unduplicated students, we had a total of 7,680 unduplicated, and that gives us an enrollment total of 22,879, meaning that the average number of classes that an unduplicated student took was 3. And we also estimate that we have 1,390 new students who hadn't registered before for continuing education. Our cancellation rate for the year was 19%, meaning that 1,164 classes ran successfully out of the 1,437 offered. We offered 165 new classes, which included 115 new titles. And our average class size was 20 students. This next graph just shows visually that we hit 85% of our target for contact hours and for tuition fee revenue. And that percentage is the same as it was based on calculating tuition fee revenue at an average of $5 per class hour across the board, which is how we calculate our original budget a year ago. So as I say, we calculate that we recruited 1,390 new students, and that represents 18% of the total unduplicated student population. And just as a reference, Learning Resources Network, which is the professional organization for continuing education, gives us a benchmark of 15 to 20% as being a good target for lifelong learning programs. So to recruit 18% new students in our first year was actually very, very satisfying for us. And as a side note, in 2012-2013, which was our last year as continuing education, we registered approximately 6,000 unduplicated students for CNL personal enrichment type classes. Okay, this next slide just demonstrates for us the comparison between our actual expenses and our total revenue compared with our targets. And as I said earlier, the difference between the tuition fee revenue and our total revenue is made up with lab fees, materials fees, sponsorships, and trust fee transfers. And that gave us a small margin at the end of the year of $20,869 when we compare the total expenses with our total revenue. So just a small margin there. And this next slide demonstrates our little margin there of $20,000 when we compare revenues with expenses for 2013-2014. And then we see our 2014-2015 budget, where we're projecting a slightly higher revenue and expense stream with a $0 margin at the end.
I might have missed it, Andy. Is there, how much in trust funds were transferred?
I'm sorry, how?
What was the dollar amount for the trust fund transfer?
Altogether, it was about $70,000.
All right, thank you.
That with sponsorships, which go through the trust funds. So we have a number of classes which are sponsored in very generous ways, like the weaving classes, for example.
Okay, so it's not necessarily drawing a total down. There's been things added to the trust fund, and then they were used.
Exactly so, yeah. And that figure also includes the tuition assistance revenues, which are all supported by donations, just by donations.
All right, thank you.
Was any of it from on page 11, we call the rainy day reserve?
No, that hasn't been touched this year at all.
Okay.
So that is the reserve.
We're drawing on the class support, the donations, the
That's
specific
correct.
sponsorship, and so forth.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. That's helpful to know. Thanks.
So our next slide shows the top 7 programs out of 28 when we analyze them by the number of enrollments that the programs get. And we start with dance, fitness, recreation, and personal. Then we have arts, psychology and spirituality, ceramics, crafts and hobbies general, cooking, and music and performing arts. So these 7 programs out of the 28 total, these represent about 65% of the total enrollments generated by CNL. And our next slide does the same kind of analysis, but this time by tuition revenue. So it shows the top 7 programs in terms of producing tuition fee revenue. So again, we have arts, dance, ceramics, crafts and hobbies general, jewelry, and then languages and psychology and spirituality. And these may appear to be similar at first, but in fact they're a little different from the top 7 programs by enrollment. For example, jewelry and languages were not in the top 7 programs by enrollment, and psychology came in number 3 in enrollments, and it's here at number 7 for revenue. So it's really, really important for us when we're analyzing the success of a class that we analyze it in terms of not only enrollments, but how much money it brings in total and how much money it brings in per class hour. And we also, when we're doing our analyses, we look at class cancellations, how many times a class cancels, how many it has when it cancels, and why does it cancel. And again, a good benchmark that we like to use, which is again is the Learn benchmark, is that they consider 15 to 20% of classes cancelled is considered acceptable in lifelong learning programs. In our first year, we actually cancelled 19%, which was a little high, and we'll be looking later on at how we aim to reduce that number in 2014, 2015. And I wanted to point out that our minimum enrollment is now 5 students for a class. When we started off a year ago, it was 1 student. The decision to cancel is actually made by the teacher as long as we have 5 students. So if we want the class to run once we've scheduled it, but if the teacher feels it's not enough a revenue for him or for her, then they can elect to cancel it. And the last point I wanted to make was that most cancelled classes were cancelled due to low enrollment, but there were other reasons too, when teachers got sick, for example, or emergencies or something like that. But the majority were cancelled due to low enrollment. Okay, this chart here demonstrates the best 10 programs for not cancelling. And as we see, there were 4 programs here, ceramics, mature driver, Mind Supermind, and woodworking, that had no cancellations at all. And then we have another 7 going down to computers, which had 13% cancellation. So that's the top 10 out of 28 programs in terms of not cancelling, which is a good thing. This next slide, I think, is the slide that Marcia was referring to. And this shows that we really have 5 different types of trust fund. We have our CNL Rainy Day Reserve, which we consider to be totally sacrosanct. We wouldn't touch that unless there was a real emergency. We have to rent very expensive classrooms off campus, for example, then we might need to use it for that, or if we end up having to pay overhead, which we haven't actually attained in 2 years' time, then we might have to use that. But at the time being, this rainy day reserve, this is not being touched at all. Next, we have restricted trust funds for classes, instructors, and programs with about $113,000 in total. We have unrestricted trust fund from the CLL and the CLL Greatest Needs Fund with about $56,000 spendable. Tuition assistance, we still have a very healthy $40,000 in this trust fund, and this is all from donations. We are very fortunate to receive a $30,000 award from the Moshe Foundation last year, which is proving to be very useful. At the moment, we're granting about 120 on average tuition assistance awards per term, and that's a $75 across the board grant to anybody who seems to be eligible. And then we also have some foundation endowments with spendable amounts, and in working with Gretchen and Jim and the foundation, it appears that we have about $25,000 that we could spend on CNL-type classes and lectures. I'd now like to come up with some projections for next year, for 2014, 2015. We'll be looking at the challenges for the CLL, marketing and program strategies, ways of reducing class cancellations, some statistics for summer 2014 as a pointer to the year, and then finally some advantages that we see as we move forward into our second year. So I've put the whole budget in your packet just for reference. There's an awful lot of information, and I think we've already been over that. So I think it's more useful for us just to go on to a graphic representation of the salient information here, where we're comparing 2013-14 with 2014-15. And this again shows our $20,000 margin for 2013-2014, and our $0 projection for 2014-15. Again, we're anticipating that our revenues will be about $50,000 less than our expenditures, but that we'll be able to transfer an absolute bare minimum of $50,000 in, again, from sponsorships and trust fund transfers. We already have about $85,000 from the last Show Us Your Love campaign, thanks mostly to one very generous donor, and we've earmarked a lot of that for marketing, as we really need to beef up our marketing campaign if we're going to succeed in this coming year. Our challenges, well, we have several challenges, but I've just put down 3 for this presentation. First of all, classroom space. We're already increasing the number of classes that we're offering in off-site locations. As we get more pressure on the Schott and the Wake campus for classrooms, we'll need to do 2 things. First of all, maximize the classes that we already have in terms of how many students we have in a class. And then secondly, consider preferably free off-site locations, for example, in fitness studios, dance studios, where we're already offering classes, and possibly another off-site building. We're also limited in terms of the types of programs that we can offer. Many lifelong learning programs get the bulk of their revenue actually from contract training and online certificates. That's something that we cannot do at Santa Barbara City College, as those types of programs are run by the Professional Development Center, for example, and by credit and short-term vocational. And then also put down myth-busting, because I'm sure that as board members you hear a lot of myths. The one that I hear the most is that the Wake Center is going to be leveled to the ground and then rebuilt as apartments. There'll be no rooms at all for CLL classes. A watered-down version of that is that it will be classrooms, but there'll be no classrooms for the CLL. And this is what we hear fairly constantly. And it's quite demoralizing, I think, for some students to hear this over and over again. And so I think that soon that we can work together to bonk the myths on the head, the better, and really get the truth out. And the CLL Council have been very helpful in this respect, in terms of busting the myths. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about our marketing strategy. I think in our second year, our marketing strategy will be far more sophisticated than in the first year, and that we have metrics, real metrics, that will allow us, and demographics that will allow us to really segment our market and do some target marketing in terms of email campaigns, mail-outs, postcards, pamphlets, and so forth. We're now doing far more sophisticated inbound marketing. So, for example, we're focusing on giving away free information on the website in the form of the Look and Learn videos. We now have about 50 one-minute videos made by teachers, which basically just give away free information about the stuff that they're good at, as professional experts in their field. And these are immensely popular, and we found out that they're drawing a lot of traffic to the website. We're now performing Google Analytics, and so we're able to optimize our search engine. We're forming partnerships with organizations and other locations in the community. We're hoping to set up our CNL Members Club in this coming year, in the next few months. And finally, hopefully increase our marketing budget from 7% of the revenue to 12% with the help of that wealthy donation that I mentioned before. Our programming strategy, again, is to use very sophisticated class analysis instruments to determine the effectiveness of individual classes. This allows us not only to figure out which classes to schedule, which classes not to schedule, but also how to retool them, and also which classes maybe only have legs 1 time a year and not 3 times or 4 times a year. We're also beginning to sell add-ons to classes. So, for example, the Sustainable Gardening class now has an add-on walkabout, Sustainable Garden walkabout in the local parks. We recognize the importance of new teachers and new classes. Again, the benchmark that we're shooting for is 15 to 20%, and we're about 20% this last year, so that may be a little high, that may be why we're getting so many cancellations, but we're certainly offering a lot of new classes, and we're still getting a huge number of new people applying to teach at the CLL. We'd also like to schedule at least one big event per term with a high-profile name, with probably a meet and greet. So this coming term on September the 8th, in case anybody was interested, we have Rupert Sheldrake, who's a very controversial and eminent British biologist, and he'll be speaking at the New Vic Theatre, with whom we have a new partnership, with a meet and greet for the hour before his lecture. And the last thing for programming strategy is really exploring trends in the community, so that we can offer classes that are really geared towards the social and economic trends in the community, which may be different generation by generation. In terms of reducing class cancellations, we certainly know that this is important. In the first year, we've learned how to be more selective about the classes that we offer. For example, new classes, we need more assurance now from a teacher that there really is an audience from their new class. We're able to use a very potent analysis tool that Lindsay Mass has developed for us to demonstrate the productivity of classes in terms of enrollment and revenue. We've talked about our refined marketing strategy and also our refined programming strategy. So hopefully this will be able to bring us down to about 15% cancellations by the end of the year. And if our summer 2014 term is anything to go by, then we're definitely heading in the right direction. The most important column is on the right here. So basically our percentages are up where they're meant to be up and down where they're meant to be down. We're 23% up in enrollments compared to 2013, summer 2013. 11% up in terms of unduplicated students. 22% up in terms of tuition revenue compared to last summer, 14% up in revenue for lab revenue, and 5% down in terms of materials fees revenue, which is actually a very good thing because we now know that we're not overcharging students for materials. That's meant to be a complete wash. Students should only pay what they actually get. Total revenue for the term, we're up by 18% over last year. We offered 8% more classes than last year, but our cancellation rate is way down to 15%. So that's 6% lower for cancellations than last summer. So going forward into this new academic year, I'd like to just talk a little bit about the advantages that I see that we have in terms of increasing our profile and our foothold in the community. So first of all, we met our first year goals. We feel we're going to be able to build on our first year successes and our lessons. We now know the community definitely wants CLL classes, including this last summer, we now have over 8,100 unduplicated students taking classes. We have an extraordinary amount of media sponsorship and support. We're still getting enormous helpful input and cooperation from the CLL Council, which continues to meet once a month. And that's made up of teachers and students, as well as the administrators of the CLL. We enjoy a lot of support and encouragement from the SBCC Foundation, and an enormous amount of support for which I thank our VPs and deans and all the staff members in the college, an immense amount of support from all the campus departments. And lastly, I like to think that we get the support of the Board of Trustees, for which I thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Any questions? Peter?
Tell me a little more about how you establish eligibility for a grant. Is that a complicated process, or is it fairly simple?
For a tuition assistant?
Right.
Or what, yeah. Yeah, it's very simple. There's just a very simple form that the student fills out. Basically, we ask them, obviously, their name and their email, if they've taken CLL or CE classes before, which is more for our data analysis. But basically, they put down what their monthly salary is, and then how much their monthly expenses are. And then they tell us what type of class they want to take, and then why they think that class will help them in their life. And again, that's meant to be just a very short paragraph. And in general, we, out of 125 or 130 applications, we may end up denying 5 to 10, but the vast majority of the applicants do receive an award. So it's designed to be very simple.
And the number last year of awards was what?
Last year it was, I think, 125 for fall, 120 for winter, and fewer for the spring. I think it was maybe like 95 for the spring. I'll have to check on that number. And then we offered awards for the first time in the summer, this last summer, summer 2014, as we had the Moshe Award. And there we were up to about 100, 102, I think.
So is it just basically self-reported and self-verified, or?
Yeah, the idea that all the tuition assistant awards come out of donations that are earmarked for tuition assistance awards.
Oh, right,
But it's
sorry. So
self-reported.
that's what I meant. It's
Yeah.
my
Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
honor system. I'm just, I
Exactly.
write down that this is my income.
That's right, yeah. It's just honor. And sometimes there's stuff that's clearly decidedly hokey, and those are the cases that we may reject. But in general, we just have to trust.
Mm-hmm.
So, one further question on your budget. You seem to be decreasing the dependency on grants and other sources, increasing the dependency on a revenue stream. Was that was part of the original plan, right?
That's correct, yes. And the reason we think that we can do that is that, well, as marketing is going to be more sophisticated and successful, and the program is going to be more sophisticated and successful, we see a higher number of students per class, but fewer classes programmed overall. So just basically a far more efficient way of running the operation.
When you do you get complaints? Do people get mad at you and write you nasty notes saying, "I don't like this"? And if so, what's the most common complaint?
Surprisingly few. We have a complaints and suggestions form in both the Wake and the Charlotte campus. I'm surprised we don't get more. I'd say maybe 5 a term, and often it's a suggestion rather than a complaint. Mm-hmm. It may be a complaint about the fact that a class has been moved from one location to another. If a class has been offered for years and years at Charlotte and we move it to Wake, then the students who've been taking that class for years are not happy. Even if it's moved from one room to another, we'll get a complaint. So people are very set in their ways, but we get surprisingly few complaints about the tuition compared to 2 years ago or 3 years ago when it was just a constant barrage of complaints that we were charging. But now that's minimal now. So in terms of how I deal with them, normally it's very personal. It's an email, it's a phone call, it's a meeting, just to explain why things are the way they are and to solicit ideas and then try to keep those people happy. So very customer service, very personal.
Good, thank you.
That's right.
Lori?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for this, because Andy knows every time I see him, I ask him how it's going, because I'm maybe a little bit too anxious. But I don't think we could have thought it would go any better than this. I think the numbers are great. For a first year, it's amazing. And I was in my mind giving it 2 years, but I think we've already, it's going to go. I don't have any question. You're going to tweak some things here and there, but I'm just really pleased with the whole thing. I do think that part of it is your unflappability, if that is a word. Is that a word? Unflappable.
I'll take it.
Yeah, because, I think when you're starting a new thing, and it was very controversial, you addressed the complaint question, but when you're starting a new thing and it's controversial, it's got to be, it's always a little bit hard, but I think you just have led this thing in a very good way, and I think it's going to go, and I'm excited about it. It's really good.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, just keep saying it yourself, too, though. This is going to do it. This is going to do it.
Great.
I got to take it one step past, and I wasn't on this board while most of this controversy, I came in and it was going on. I came in at the end of it. I think you've already done it. The people that hired you, kudos. I mean, Dr. Gaskin, I think you've already done it, and I propose we all give you a great big hand, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Job well done.
All right, Lori.
Well, I think I channeled my thoughts into Marty
Andy, I think you
and
need to
Craig,
say-
but I needed to close this by saying an academic program, and indeed any program at an institution, is really solely at its foundation based upon the commitment of the leader. And Andy is not only committed, he has a heart and a mind that is so appropriate for this calling. And the success that we have enjoyed this year is solely because of Andy's leadership. And talk about navigating an incredible ship through some icebergs. And Andy, unflappable is a beautiful word, calm, personable, very thoughtful, reflective, and has a vision, and is taking that ship to that vision. So it is the norm. CLL is the norm. And it's because of your work, and I commend you along with what the board has said. Thank you, Andy.
Next up is a adopted budget, review of the 2014-15 adopted budget.
I guess I have a difficult act to follow here, Andy.
We like you a lot too, Joe.
Because you're all so familiar with the budget, and we did go through the tentative budget in great detail, what I'm going to focus on here tonight is just any differences really between the tentative and the adopted budget, and then of course to address any questions that you may have about the budget. So this is the first public hearing. It will go to Fiscal Committee again on September 8th, and then it will go to the Board of Trustees on September 11th for where we will ask for your approval. The agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to go through the assumptions, any changes, and then we'll go through interfund balance, interfund transfers, fund balances, talk about, just take a quick look at the other funds, Measure V, construction and equipment, so just what you've seen before. So hopefully it all looks familiar. This is the assumptions for the revenue and a quick comparison. Really, there are no differences, so again, unless you have questions, we'll just move through. Yes?
I had a few questions which primarily I think, or I hope, will help board members who are not on the fiscal committee and have not looked at this as many times see the budget more completely. And so I was wondering if you could pause a moment and comment on the green part of the graph where you see from 13-14 actual to 14-15 adopted a significant difference in our state principal apportionment that we are budgeting, and kind of explain that a little bit in general. And I think it's also helpful for the public.
Yes, you're all familiar with Prop 30, right, that, which was passed. And Rich is really just creating the shift between our state principal apportionment and our local revenue, because now more of it is being collected locally. and through the local taxes that are being collected and then distributed directly to the college. So it really does come from that transition between what is now local revenue and what is the state principal apportionment. If
There still is a significant difference, though. Our local is up about $1 million, and our green is, state is down about $5 million.
Oh, I'm sorry, between 13, 14, and 14, 15 adopted. Okay.
Correct.
Well, as we go through, I actually have a bubble that explains what happened in 13, 14. But primarily, it's an adjustment of about 2.6 million that came through for 11, 12, that came through to the current year. Am I speaking to the microphone? Sometimes it seems to fade away. And then there's also a difference in the deficit factor that's going forward.
Okay, so we got more money. That was a one-time adjustment.
That was a one-time adjustment to 13, 14.
To 13, 14, and that reflected additional money that the state, in effect, owed us and other colleges as well, I believe.
Yes.
And so that raises the green portion, the state principal apportionment, in a way that will not continue,
Yes,
but
that is in
does
the current year.
contribute to that difference.
And then the other is net difference in what they're giving us for apportionment versus what is coming through on the taxes. And they're showing that we're not going to get as much revenue that right now the state offices are as we look at the apportionment. And that's something, again, we're looking at closely because that may change. You know, we think that they're not having a complete handle yet on the changes in the revenue streams and where they're coming from. And so that's reflected again, and we have a 1% deficit factor included in the current year as well. So does that help? Is that enough?
Unless someone else has questions. I was just trying to
Oh, yeah.
get the big picture out there for people who aren't as familiar with it.
Okay.
No, that's good, because I mean, you guys spend a whole hour talking about it, and then we get a percentage of
Yes.
Thursday.
Okay. So when we look at expenditures, what we're looking at, the primary change, and it's significant, is that we're now, the faculty adjunct and overload expenditures are based on the prior year actuals plus the 1% increase, which we're doing to get to our state cap. And so, let me go back here. So I just wanted to be clear that that's from tentative to now, that's the only change you'll see on the expenditure side. So are we clear about that? And I can explain that a little further. I'll do that now, in that what it is we had projected a certain amount of increase in classroom sections offered and actual FTES earned. And what happened is we actually exceeded that. So when we exceeded that, it increased our actual expenditures for the current year for adjuncts and overloads because we had to fund that. What we don't call it growth because it's not. We're trying to catch up to our cap. And so we're actually, what that means is that we're moving at a faster rate than we anticipated in getting back to our cap. So it's actually a very positive thing. It doesn't come out positive maybe on here, but it is a positive in that we're going to get to our funded cap quicker than anticipated.
And in effect, we were offering more classes, therefore
Yes.
we paid more faculty salaries.
Yes. Okay.
How does that work when like when you borrow from somewhere, but you get the money, but then nobody really taught the class because, we just when we borrow from somewhere to make our numbers.
All
So
we're
how
doing
does
is
all
really
that, I know you're
borrowing the FTES.
right,
Yeah,
to
so
get
we're-
the money from the state.
For our funded base.
Yeah.
So that we meet that, it's like a payday loan.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do then is pay that off and minimize the need to do that. So we're just slightly, we keep growing and growing our
Yeah.
FTES, that funded base, so we don't have to borrow as much. We believe that we will, with our current projections, 14, 15 will be the last year we will have to borrow from summer 15. And then starting in 15, 16, it's a good wash. That is, we're earning the FTES that we need to earn in the academic year to meet our funded base. So it's a allowable way to ensure that we level out any aberrations.
But the FTES reflect actual student classes. I
They
mean,
are
these are
actual
classes
classes.
that are given. It's
Yes.
just some of them are given in the summer, and we're using
In the
those
summer before
classes.
June 30th.
Right.
Of any given year, so that it really is in the academic year.
Yeah.
So the state allows you to go either way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, but I just know for people out there, because it's like, wait, well, but you're talking about 13, 14, but some of the FTS came in from that, and, but they were actual classes that were taught by instructors, students in-house, and they're being claimed there.
Yes.
Claimed in the year ahead.
Okay. So we can look at the changes from tentative to adopted. On the expenditure side, the tentative budget for readers was based on the 2013-14 forecasted expenditures, and for the adopted budget, the adjusted reader budget we adjusted it up to $150,000, which is closer to actual. One new position for admissions and records was added to the adopted budget, and that's about $70,000. And then, as we said, that increase to the budget for faculty adjunct and overload expense from the prior year, plus the 1% additional increase that we're projecting for this year. On the revenues side, the increase in the Educational Protection Act, Prop 30 revenue by $1 million for the Chancellor's office is actually offset by a decrease in state apportionment by $1.5 million for the Chancellor's office. And that's where we're seeing, that's what we said, there's a discrepancy there that we're hoping comes back up. But we have to go with what we're given right now. So being conservative, that's the way we're looking at it.
But just to say, you're hoping that the decrease in state apportionment of $1.5 million will not totally materialize, or maybe not at all.
Yes.
We're hoping.
that would be, actually what we would hope is that maybe the EPA money will come up to fulfill that gap, or, as you said, they'll adjust the apportionment at year end, and we've seen that happen before. Then there's it includes $345,000 in revenues for internal transfers for duplicating services. That was not included in the tentative budget. This is just something, it was a new accounting practice that we got half in and half out. We got the expense side in, we didn't get the revenue side in, and they actually matched, and so it was a net wash in prior years, but we just didn't get that adjustment in, and so when we went back, we caught that, and so that's a correction. And then there's an increase in revenues, just minor, $45,000 for various department fees based on prior year actuals. We're seeing an increase in that, so we're trying to account for it, so it's not very much. But
Readers, that's like academic in the classroom readers, like at the university readers for professors? Readers, what's readers? Is that like at the university,
Yes.
like readers? So how do we decide how much money is allocated for readers?
It's been typically $150,000. It took a drop during the recession, and we haven't been able to bring it fully back, but
So is that supporting the instructional need in the classroom?
yes, it's direct instructional support.
No, I mean, is that supporting like the need, the instructional need in the classroom?
What they're doing is, the readers are, you're following a script with faculty what to look for, so like simple grammatical errors or main points, and the faculty member gets that to, assign the final grade.
But is it meeting the need?
Yes, meaning,
Yeah.
Like the amount of readers, is that?
well, obviously, you use more, but what we have is what we have. And, but in fact, want to continue to give lots of writing assignments. That's what we have.
There's always a question about whether there would be more need. Excuse me, Kim, when people speak from the audience, I don't believe it comes onto the tape. So it's really important we're welcome to share the microphone up here. I would just hate for the public to get half of the conversation.
Well, I think what Kimberly would say if she had a microphone handy is that the faculty will always argue for increased reader funding for good reason, because at some point you get to decide whether you're going to give a multiple choice exam as opposed to the more rigorous comparative essay exam, which takes tons of time to evaluate. And if there's no money for reader support, the temptation will be to go to the multiple choice type of thing. So I think the expenditure that we're making in this regard is very valuable.
Well, it's all a balance. As I've been telling the institution, we're at that balance point. That is, we went through zero-based budgeting, and people put into that zero-based budget what they needed to reasonably run their programs. And then we did a zero-based budget adjustment to build the 14-15 years. So it's really hard to pull out simply one thing and look at it in a vacuum. It is balanced with tutor support, it's balanced with operational needs, it's balanced across the institution. So that's how we address that.
Yeah, and like I said, I think my wonder right now is I wonder what, as we move into like 21st century learning and giving students opportunities to demonstrate their learning in multiple measures, and giving, the expertise of the faculty to be able to present material and provide basically a learning environment that wouldn't necessarily always yield to multiple choice tests because it was the less, time consuming or whatever. And so I wonder, like in an ideal world, well, what does a reader budget look like to provide that type of learning experience for students where they are afforded, those multiple measures to, show what they have, and so where the professors can really dive in with some unique instructional practices. I think that's my wonder right now, and I don't know what an ideal.
My suggestion is that it's not a reader budget. The issue has to do with class size. And the class sizes are what, over the long term, the state needs to address. Exactly.
It's because they have more students that
Exactly.
they can tend to read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this is what it looks like in numbers. As you can see, the adopted budget, in the tentative budget, we had approximately 2.9 million. We brought that down to about 2.6. Those are the changes. And here's where I was going to talk, I believe it is, about the revenue. So you can see the unanticipated 2012-13 recalculated state apportionment that came through. So, and the reduction in the deficit factor for that year also. That's why that revenue number looks high. Any questions on this? Yes.
I think there's another issue we might pause on, which is we have an excess of revenues over expenditures that is significantly higher than was anticipated. And I think you've basically addressed it, but let's go back to why we have 9 million of revenues over expenditures there in that line. And 5 million when you get down to the bottom, which went into our ending balances.
Okay. Well, that's the prior year unaudited statements.
Right. But I mean, just as we look at what happened last year versus what we had budgeted, there are some big differences. And I just want people to recognize and understand those differences. And then when we move to our next year, the one that we're proposing to adopt now, understand how sometimes these things will change. So.
All right. So, I mean, if we look at the revenues, you can see that it's about $4.7 million difference there. And we have talked about why they would be less from the prior year. There's a slight uptick in local revenues that is change in tuition for international and out-of-state. Primarily will drive that. Under academic salaries, again, we've talked about why that's a little bit higher because we have to budget for the increase. We went to actual for last year, plus that's really the cost of growing our offerings by 1%. And then in classified and other non-academic salaries, it's the impact of the 0.85% increase, which is also in the other salaries, and also shows that we are now, you were at the kickoff, you saw how many new employees we had. We are at, I don't want to say full employment, but I don't think we have very many open positions at this point. And that's just very different from the prior few years. And so we will see the impact of basically going back to full employment and filling all the positions that were open in a timely manner also. As they come open now, we're filling them, and that's a very positive thing for the institution. So we're very happy about that. Employee benefits, that follows the increases there. Again, the supplies and materials and other operating expenses, people were again given the opportunity to look at their budgets this year, and there were some increases that have come through that were allocated. Some of it is that we didn't spend our entire budget in the prior year, and you're looking at actuals. So a significant portion in supplies and materials and other operating expenses is really the amount that was unspent in the prior year. And then I don't think there's other material changes, but there's a significant change down here in the transfers. We did reduce the transfers out to both the equipment and the construction fund. And as you'll see later on, we are working on making up for lost time. We're very, we've been the last couple years, this year in particular, 13-14, we really did go after the deferred maintenance issues that had been sitting there for a long time, and we have gone after them, and we are funding them, and we are funding in program review those requests that have come through. Again, it's the backlog from those 4 or 5 years where we did almost nothing because we really didn't have the wherewithal or to do it. So.
I think it's important to note that the reduction in the transfers out to the equipment and the construction was planned. It was very purposeful to, again, rebalance our resources so that we could attend to the staffing needs of the institution. So that's a pretty important.
Yes.
For classified and non-classified salary, so I know I see the emails, like new employee, which is great. I see that we're adding a lot. So have we hired more full-time classified employees?
4 more. Net plus 4. And that was very purposeful, and it went through a process at CPC.
But Joe is also referencing the fact that we often delayed hiring or had vacancies really as a cost-saving measure in the past.
We're now replacing as those vacancies appear, because we understand what that did to the institution for those 5 years. It was hard on it.
So this is just a graphic illustration of the differences, of the 2 years, 13-14 actual and 14-15 adopted. Then we go to interfund transfers, which we actually already touched upon, so I don't think we need to spend a lot of time here, but to note that it does maintain ending balances at the levels that we have in our new board policy and administrative procedure. The general fund balance, this is just a comparison of the June 30th 2013 actual and 2014 actual compared to the adopted budget. And you can see that the percent of designated ending fund balance expenditures is pretty constant, and so is the percent total of total ending balance, is still 32.1% of projected expenditures. So we're still significantly above, as you'll see here, our minimum fund balance.
Joe, could you go back? This page is incredibly important because it actualizes the recent board action that developed a new board policy for reserves. And so those reserves are identified for you. There's the state mandated contingency of about $4 million. There's the bank TLUs. There's the general apportionment deferral, which has been slowly reduced, and you see that now at $1.7 million. And then remember that additional reserve to meet that 15%, that our goal of 15%. So all in all, that's $19 million.
Can you define banked again? I know teacher learning units, but what is that banked again?
Faculty, if they teach an overload, have the ability to either get
so you
paid
just
or to
save
bank
it.
it up to a certain, there's a ceiling there.
Okay.
But that's a liability.
It's a deferred liability.
That we have to put on the books.
So we recognize it on our books, and this is just where we can recognize it. So it's similar to vacation that's been accrued but not paid. This is, it's
Okay, so
very
when you
similar
say
to that.
banked, is they're teaching it, but we're not
Yes.
paying it, and we're just saving it?
Right.
Yes.
And at some point, they will take, they can use it, there's different ways that they can use it or get paid for it.
And currently, there's $1 million.
Million. Pretty common, very common.
And it's been a pretty constant number. I mean, it doesn't, it goes up and down a little bit each year. But it's basically, yeah, it's,
It's a savings account,
yeah, you can use
if you
it.
will.
And so they can use, like, what are the parameters for them to?
They can use some part to extend their sabbatical. They can get paid, they can cash out, they can reduce their load, no, okay. Can't cash out. That's what, yeah,
When they
Right.
retire.
As a lump sum, and then we just pay it out?
and that's
But-
why it's a liability.
But they can use it to balance their load if they need
Yes.
to, and, you know, if they have a deficit in a particular semester, they can call on their bank TLUs to get their full salary. And that's what it's there for. I mean, it's there so that you can balance.
Yeah.
But we don't have very many that just don't teach their full load and then
No.
get the overhead like that to
No,
where
you
they wouldn't be
can't do that.
teaching their full, no. So that's what
You
Jack
have to
just said.
teach-
You have to
teach a
teach your
minimum.
full,
Well, they have to teach a minimum of MTLs. But for example, this week, somebody had to cancel class for long, long. So they're saying, rather than bump somebody else, we'll just take the bank TLUs to make our 15 TLUs, so we teach one class less
Yeah.
on it. So it's used for that purpose,
okay.
by and large.
The most notable thing as well on this page is not only that we have implemented the board reserve policy, but then there is undesignated $9.7 million. That is one-time only money, one-time only. And that's what we're just letting sit for a moment while we consider what we
Yeah.
need.
Thank you, Lori, because I was just going to reemphasize that line, which is undesignated.
Right.
The $19,498,972 is the total amount that our policy says
Correct.
we must have in reserve. The $9,766,364 on that line below it is, as it says, undesignated because it is above the amount that our policy says is our minimum reserve.
Right.
And I'll chime in for the third iteration of that. Sure, that is extremely significant, and I think it's something for the whole college and governance groups to be aware of, because that 9.7 million could potentially be spent on some program, some one-time cost, or the college and governance groups could decide it's more prudent, even though our policy says just 19 million, to kind of keep some of that undesignated amount.
So where did
in
the 9
balance.
million come from?
Over the years, our ending fund balances accrued, and the board has been now very, very clear about the magnitude of those ending fund balances. So now we're budgeting to that policy, but this is simply accrued over years and years and years.
And Veronica, that was the debate even 4 years ago when some of the board was transitioning, there's a rainy day fund. Well, how much do we need to be safe? You know, we just weathered the worst economic recession in decades, and we survived. The college and the governance groups managed to manage their budget, so we didn't need to dip into those rainy day reserves. And if we needed them, this is when we would have needed them, the last 4 years. So the other side of the argument is, well, that money belongs to the students and the college to engage in what our mission is, which is to educate our students. So it's a weighing of that principle again. Well, we need to save some and be safe, but how much? And I know for some of us, it was something that needed to be defined.
And you did that. So now we will look at, through this year, proposals to look at how we might want to expend that. But I want to take it very carefully. We have some intervening things.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good, especially, I mean, I think what comes to my head, you think, yes, recession, budget cuts, and then you're like, oh, but then you had $9 extra million would be like the thinking, you know, but, so yeah, you get why you were trying to be really conservative, but it does then say, oh, but then we didn't open up classes, or people didn't get hired, and things like that, so, I mean,
Well,
I
this is one
trust
time
the
only.
complicated, obviously, process and decision, I get that, but I just know that I'm not the only one wondering, oh, there's,
We can't use this for hiring, and we can't
Right.
use this for salary increases because it's one time only. Once you spend it, it's gone.
And
Sure, Craig?
Just to follow up on this topic, because the policy that we enacted was for a reason, and I drug my feet on it till I got a really pretty good understanding.
And we were patient.
Yeah, you were. But, you know, I did look into it thoroughly, and so that part of it's done. But how we use those reserves in the future is going to require more of our attention and work, and the development of policies that maybe in the future could have this organization weather these kinds of economic storms better than it's weathered in the past, as evident by having money there left over that wasn't used when cuts were made. And it's not that simple of an explanation. There's a lot of factors that come into play. But if we can put some policies in place, which we're going to be working on, we can do a whole lot better. So that's what I want.
Experience to work on now.
It takes some time to understand it, you know.
And this slide really depicts, when you look at the equipment and construction funds, what Dr. Gaskin was talking about, that we're working towards bringing the college back, getting it where it needs to be, and yet still maintain the new reserves, the new reserve limits that were set, and bringing it down to that level. So this is just again, this is the general fund restricted, and as you can see, everything comes out to zero, which it always will in our adopted budget. It's the nice thing about this one. We will look at that as the year goes on, and I'm sure you'll see that it does change the adopted, because our restricted funds, again, we don't recognize some revenue until we actually receive it. We're very conservative in this. It is so, but it's, as you can see, we still have a very robust adopted budget as far as our restricted funds go. Other special revenues funds, these are the funds that basically we support the college in different ways: parking and transportation, the rental of facilities, the health fees, the community education center. These are lottery funds, marine diving technology. So these are just revenue funds. We get revenue and expense, and they're separate from our general fund, both restricted and unrestricted. These are our fiduciary funds that we do hold in. The significant one here, of course, always is financial aid. Everybody looks at that and goes, wow, we get $32 million in financial aid this year. It comes in and out. And it is, when you look at our audited statements, it's the one thing everybody always asks me is, where did that 30 million plus in revenue come from? And it's an in and out, but we have to recognize it on our statements.
That doesn't include student loans, does it? Is it just grant, or does that include a student loan that would come through?
That does not include student.
So it's
that's
all grant and
grants,
Pell?
Staff, right?
Yes.
Or does it include student loans? No,
I-
couldn't.
As far as, to my understanding, this is the grant. It's just the grant funding that we're responsible for. We're not responsible for the loans.
You had a question?
I'm curious as to where, I'm always interested in the student representation fees and the associated students. Is this money that the state is giving us, or is this money drawn off of when they register? The
Which
student?
one?
The first two slots there.
You collect.
Local.
It's your local, it's what you collect.
That's what we collect from the students at registration. Okay.
So I just want, can you go back a little bit, just because I want to just clarify. So I know,
Yes.
so the Center for Lifelike Learning is self-sustaining, and we saw the budget and Andy's report. But then on our budget, we also see CLL. And is that just because money, just the overarching umbrella of the trusts and the money coming through onto them? Or like, is any
Yes, these are-
overhead still on our side?
No, this is, what you see here is just what we hold in trust for them. That's it.
So So then we can say it's truly self-sustaining. The budget we saw is completely separate, and then.
The educational portion is completely
And so we
self-sustained.
just have CLL on there because it comes through.
Yes.
Donations.
And this is the bookstore, and I mean, this kind of tells the story. We're actually having a good year at the bookstore, but we're still going to look at probably, we're potentially looking at a net loss at the end of the year. The book sales are dropping, our retail sales are climbing, but it's just a difficult one to get a handle on right now because it's shifting so much, the ability to buy books in other locations and what we can charge. And so it's almost a moving target right now, but we still feel confident we'll be very close. And hopefully we're going to work really hard to get that to a positive number instead of a negative number at the end. So, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, that's a big one. And you know what? So, I mean, I know Amazon and those guys, obviously, can do things, but so if we're not selling as many books anyway, because students are priming them and shipping them to their house, can we just reduce the price of our books? Since we're not, I mean, we could still sell to them and we're not going to maybe
In
make
essence,
as much.
we have done that because what we will do is if the student orders online and comes in and picks up their books, we'll match the Amazon price.
Okay.
But that's why you see a loss.
Yeah.
And so, we still have to pay for shipping to get it here. We still have to pay the people in the bookstore and our purchasing agents and it's so that's what the balancing act is. How do we get to, we're coming to a new paradigm, and I think the bookstore is doing a very good job of getting there, but it'll take a couple more years.
Yeah. Well, that's good, I think, for parents, such an use we're trying to match and support them.
We've done a lot more. It's been more aggressive. We're up 150 online orders a day. We've been up this fall for the last 14 days. So we were significantly up in the number in students ordering directly from us.
And do our faculty still give a lot of readers out, or do they no longer do that? Like, is there stuff that's binded still, or they
Yes.
do?
They,
More and more they're putting that online.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they can just,
Using open sourceware.
yeah, to PDF it.
And where the bookstore doesn't make any.
Mm-hmm.
So more and more, we're getting stuff from publishers online or just stuff that's out there for free.
Mm-hmm.
and that makes it very difficult to keep a bookstore operating.
Right,
But
right.
we'll work with it.
But user-friendly for the student, to PDF everything. Yeah.
My wife sells textbooks. It's hard for me to be unbiased.
Hey, I still buy mine because I like to hold them. I like books, but yeah.
Food service is going to show a profit this year. Last year we did have a loss, but that was because we did invest heavily in our food venues. We've hired a new chef. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of new items in the cafeteria and in the other locations. By January, we're going to open above the stadium, and we're looking at doing some other venues as well. So
Yeah, didn't you say tri-tip or something like that?
yeah, we bought a smoker. We're going to do gourmet burgers and tri-tip. Anything that will waft out across the campus and draw people. The Children's Center has been very constant, and they're doing a great job with their budget. You know all about the Center for Lifelong Learning, so I don't need to say anything here. This is just the balances in the Measure V in our current bond fund, and we're down to 5.8 million that we have remaining at the end of the year. That we will spend that out. We anticipate this year, and if we get approvals, of course, for the West Campus classroom building, then we will draw down the final $15,242,000 on that bond.
Oh, I know. I had a question on the Children's Center. I think, Laura, I remember last time you explained to us, we changed the position because so it's no longer a teaching salary, it's just like a administrative classified in.
With attrition.
As they're retiring.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so then, but the teaching faculty that's still under the center for the teaching lab, so then who do they?
The early childhood education program,
They report to
So
who
there's,
now?
there's code, there's law where if they meet the minimum qualifications for a child development center
Mm-hmm.
teacher, then they can oversee or supervise the practicum for our students. So I'm not sure if that's what you asked, but.
I
so-
guess, it got me thinking, because so we have the teaching faculty that are teaching the students.
Yes.
And then we have the children.
And that's an instructional program.
Right,
Yes.
and so then now the director of like the Orphala, he
Yes.
goes across the way. So he or she is no longer academic, she's now classified.
Right, but she has never been. Not now. I mean, not the person that's currently in the
Okay.
position. She meets MQs as far as the director of a child development
Right,
center, but
but
she's
not
not
a
a
teacher,
faculty.
not faculty.
No.
So then how does that work, I guess, it got me thinking, how does that work in terms of needing to, I guess, step in? Like, you know how like a principal has to be credentialed because
Well,
they
she
have to be able to
doesn't-
oversee?
She's credentialed, separate the two. Early childhood education, master's degree prepared
Right, to teach
individuals.
the students.
The OELC is regulated by Title 22? Title 22, very
For the
different, but
children.
very clear requirements for child
The
care.
children, got it.
Exactly. So they're very separate. So she never comes over and does any teaching. But the law does allow our students to go over here and do practicum if they're supervised and overseen by a qualified child development center person. So
And
that's,
so then this person is in tandem with the
Yeah.
teaching and practice that's going on there
Absolutely.
for them to see what exactly
Yes.
they're observing?
yeah, yes.
Okay.
But she is not part of the early childhood education program.
Department. got it.
Exactly.
And then EC faculty still report to their chair and do that?
Correct.
But somehow they're all talking so that
Yeah,
the
it's a perfect
students are
partnership.
being-
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I got to thinking how that
Yeah.
applies and how that's actually playing out in terms of like the families being served, the children, the students learning,
Mm-hmm.
faculty, and then a person overseeing the logistics of the center.
As I understand it, Veronica, it's very similar to the credential for a K-12 teacher. That is, the person who supervises the student teacher does not have necessarily the credentials that would be required for a professor. What they have are the credentials that would be required for a
To oversee
teacher.
that, yeah.
Right.
And then the college person that coordinates that has the credentials for the professor.
Now, that's good to clarify, just so you know that, no, we're not compromising our Kinko's loved center, like everything's still running at a very high caliber, and, you know, that even though in shifting these as they retire, we're still putting things in place too.
And you see evidence of that in board action later tonight, where the unified district comes to us to
Right,
provide
the EC.
services. Yeah.
Okay. The construction district projects, just know that we're going to do our best to spend it and still leave the remaining balance of $2,000 over what is our new board policy. Huh?
2 million?
2 million will be the ending fund balance at the end of the year. We anticipate getting about 2.3 million in revenues, expending 7 million. There's other transfers in. That's the transfers in from the general fund that are remaining. And then, you know, after that, we do expect to spend it down. And Julie is very happy about that.
And we appreciate the amount of work it takes to just get these projects done. It's amazing.
It's nice to be able to do this to the campus. I mean, I know you've all seen the benefits that we've seen from it, so it's good. And the equipment replacement, it's the same story. We're playing a little bit of catch-up, and we're also looking at reducing the transfer and bringing that balance down closer to what our new board policy is. Any more questions? My 10-minute time up yet?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
And so we'll be voting on this September 11th. Okay. All right, next is Robert Els with the,
And I'll be Robert.
you'll
for
be Robert today? Okay,
Um,
Robert.
And we have just completed our initial review of the first draft of our accreditation self-study. And we did that throughout the summer, and now the writing teams are back making revisions and adjustments and filling in. And so we'll be going through a second round with draft 2 in the early fall. So we're on this iterative passage through our self-study.
I appreciate you keeping the board informed on a regular basis. Next item up is the second reading and action item of board policies, Chapter 6, Business and Fiscal Affairs, and we've covered all of these within the study session. So I'm assuming, unless there have been questions in the interim, that we would be ready to move to approve them.
I will so move.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions? Okay, motion passed.
I wanted to I had a question on BP 6500, just to clarify, so when the BP 6500?
Okay.
Property management, so the superintendent shall establish such procedures. So when you establish the procedures, so obviously it says that we won't lease, sell, use, or exchange of real estate property by the district until acted by the board. So then you'll provide some type of procedure. And so this has to do with like Kaplan, how we lease to them. And
Actually,
so
we're in
all
the
leasing.
throes of developing a specific board policy on lease.
So this is separate, okay, so this is just, okay, just because it says no transaction regarding the lease, sale, exchange of real property, but since it's
But this has to do with
It'll be
property
separated.
management.
So
Yeah, so
separate.
that's separate, yes. And
that's
it's,
still in process.
Yes.
They're related, but there will be a more detailed policy
lay it out better.
specifically on
Okay.
leasing.
Right.
That's why I wanted to know, because I knew that was.
Okay, next item up is 2014-15 Board of Trustees goals. We had a retreat to discuss these. Do you
Yes.
want to summarize that?
And we
Lauren?
had, you had a retreat on August 7th, and during that annual retreat, as you always do, you begin to craft your board goals, and you stipulated those goals, and I was the scribe on this yellow page. So what I did was I simply took that and transformed them with a little bit of wordsmithing, and I did take the liberty for your consideration, and this is in front of you for action. I actually added one that I just believe just passed us by, and that has to do with board relationships, to provide mentorship to the new trustee who will be seated in December of 2014. So this is before you for action if you so choose, or well, unless you have any recommendations for changes.
So I'd look for a motion to approve from Peter.
Second.
Was that you, Nicholas?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
Yeah, we actually did talk about the mentorship in that.
Did we?
Yeah. So I'm glad it's here.
Good.
And the student, so we're going to share implementation of the plan, but the plan hasn't been submitted yet. They're
For which
writing
one?
it for,
Student-
yeah,
Student equity?
yeah,
Right, it's being.
it's underway.
Yes, it's being crafted and it's due November 17th.
And then we'll see it before it gets out.
Yes, that's the plan.
So like we'll approve it before it goes. Or what
I
does
don't know
look
that it requires board approval. It's going through governance. Yeah.
Well, just because it's weird that we would make sure that it's implemented, but then what is it?
Well, the implementation is what we're talking about, the development.
Well, right, but we're going to implement something that we don't know what
Well,
it is.
we'll present it to
Okay,
you,
and-
along with the student success and support plan.
Together.
I don't know if it'll be together
But
because they
at
have
some
different
point,
deadlines.
November, one's November and October.
The SSSP is October, and the student equity plan is a month after.
November, yeah.
So October, November, will be presented the plans, and we won't start implementing them until we've been presented them.
Right, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of
Right,
backwards.
I understand. Okay, so with that clarification, are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passed. Reappointment of Measure V Citizens Bond Oversight Committee members.
Yes, we have 4 individuals that are up for either reappointment or replacement, and those positions are the support organization, the foundation, the student, the taxpayers organization, community at large. In addition, we have 3 positions where the individuals completed their first term and would like to be reappointed. So that is another community at large, a business organization, and senior citizens organization. So before you right now is the recommendation to reappoint Ms. James, Mr. Ostrander, and Mr. Just. And then we are poised to advertise for the other positions, and then we look to the Student Senate for appointment with our student.
Move approval.
I second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And we'd like to extend our gratitude to those 3 individuals for stepping up and working on the bond.
As well as to the
Previous.
folks who are leaving
Retiring, yes.
because of term limits. Yeah.
Faithful. Just said faithful service.
Okay, you didn't have any other items, Lori, so human resources. Is Pat? Oh, she's right behind.
Good afternoon, members of the board and President Gaskin. I have the consent agenda items for human resources. I do have one change on item 4.1A, page 1 of 2, under classified appointment. We have selected Moises Cardenas to be the new admissions and records technician. His first name is spelled M-O-I-S-E-S, last name C-A-R-D-E-N-A-S. He has been rated in at step 2 and will begin September 15th. With that change, I can submit all of the consent agenda items A through D to you for your approval.
Have a motion?
Yep. I'll move.
Peter moves.
Let's move.
Second.
Craig seconds. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I just had a question, maybe it's a Jack, no, it's good, but I was wondering with, I know to express the success, it's because it's grant money and it's not something that's utilized yet. And so do our counselors, do we approve different ones? I mean, I would think that the learning curve and just in terms of the overall of how the program works and continuity with the students and that they're moving on to cohorts. So how are counselors coming in and out of that? Because they're always 1-year temp. And I know Camila was our previous EOPS counselor. And so, I mean, how does that work in terms of seeing it through for our students?
She had experience.
No, I'm not questioning her experience. I'm just questioning, like, how does that work in terms of
This
keeping
particular
continuity?
grant, we were intending to give 5 1-year temporary contracts to the
Okay.
same person.
Uh-huh.
He got a full-time,
So they
tenure
leave
track
because-
job at Ventura Community College District. So this was open, and then we replaced.
Yeah.
So this is the 4th year of a 5-year grant, and
So we did have only one person so far.
Yes.
So that's good.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
not.
and he was wonderful.
Yeah, so that's hard, because I know like I said,
That's
the
the
model of especially the model of the program is that of,
Just for my sake, don't think I finished the vote. So we had all in favor was aye, and anyone opposed? Abstentions? No, good.
Thank you.
Okay, educational programs. Kim, are you coming up? No, I forgot. Okay, you can practice it for the next time
So
around.
Jack will do
Jack's
it
gonna
this time, and then
stand in for you. You have some highlighters? Get it.
Don't thank me yet, you should wait till I hear how I present it. Okay, I recommend approval of item 5.1, new courses and programs, and course program modifications.
You're doing them separately?
Do you want to do it separately? It's fine. So, or all together. We might as well do it all together. And
Might as
just,
well, if we can, sure. No changes, so would anyone like to make a motion on 5.1 through
I move approval of 5.1,
through 5.3?
5.3.
Okay.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
can you tell what I'm reading from?
Opposed? Okay.
yeah,
I don't know.
just on that, there's a lot of work going on in curriculum because we have to update and review every single course every 6 years. So what happened, we had a summer work group of Curriculum Advisory Committee, going through several hundred courses that were submitted for review, for update. So you'll see quite a bit of activity the next couple of months in that area. Next one is item 5.2. These are stipends for faculty.
We just did all three at once.
We did 5.2 and 5.3.
We're done.
We're done. We're done.
Were all board members clear that we were voting on that?
Okay, I was napping, I'm sorry, you get through that one.
You know what, Jack, I think what you were missing was we didn't point out one of the titles, like How to Be Killer at Karaoke.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
right.
like the students, your routine was off. Like,
Yeah, it was off, yeah, I didn't get that far, see you.
Thank you, Jack.
Well.
I'm done.
All right, couldn't resist.
How can you follow that?
Item 6.1, I'd like to submit to you for your approval, the consent items for business services.
What's the formality here? Do we approve or just acknowledge receipt?
No, consent? You take action.
Yeah. I'll move approval.
I'll second.
I do have a question.
Yes.
It's a general question. Many of these specific items carry a sizable monetary value. As we contemplate a review of, the master plan for construction on this campus, do we take that into account? If we anticipate that a building is going to go away, do we limit expenditures for that building?
To what is needed.
Yeah.
Yes, we know for a fact the campus center is going to go, to be replaced. And so we're certainly ensuring that the facility is able to be functional, but we're not enhancing it.
Okay.
And we're maintaining it, but not enhancing it.
That's a very good example, because we have actually vacated some classrooms.
Right.
And rather than make them up to the level we would like to see them at, we're leaving them vacant temporarily.
Well, that's precisely answers my question. Thank you.
This is particularly important, and the Facilities Committee thinks a lot about this, because you can't leave things on the assumption that they will be replaced. The replacement often takes a little longer or is more complex than expected, and so we have to keep things functioning even though we know they'll be gone eventually.
I just had a question. Humanities windows, is that the Humanities building that we just renovated? So this is just, we had to replace the windows again, but we just renovated that building? I'm just confused.
I think those were the faculty office. What's that?
On
We
the
have a
last
page
The
number?
very last one. Coast glassing, it's only $2,000, but I thought we were done.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you're never quite done. So what it is even once you complete a project, there's a couple things we're still doing in humanities, because once they moved back in, they said, oh, wait, now that we're here, we might have missed something, or there's another just normal enhancement that we would have made. For instance, we divided one room into 2 classrooms, because by the time we moved back in, it had a different use than when we first started the modernization project. So those things do happen. It's just part of it's ongoing. So, and that's just one of those
Yeah.
we looked at and said, oh, this does need to be done.
But for the future, since Julie and everybody's planning, we'll know who will be housed in X building so that it's somewhat.
Even when you know, one of the fascinating examples when I was just starting in facilities was one place had a light switch that made perfectly good sense in the plans. But when it actually happened, it turned out that people had to walk into a dark room to switch on the light, and it wasn't safe.
Right.
So they had to make a change that looked fine in the plans, but actually didn't work in the actual practice.
Joe's right. Things are
There's
never
always
done.
So we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There's none.
We can take resolution number 5, the budget transfers between major objects, and resolution number 6, the augmentation of revenue together.
I move approval.
Second.
Angie?
Trustee Macker?
Aye.
Trustee Bloom?
Aye.
Trustee Kugler?
Aye.
Trustee Nielsen?
Aye.
Trustee Hasland?
Aye.
Trustee Croninger?
Aye.
Trustee Gallardo?
Aye.
Student Trustee Style?
Aye.
And the last item I have is resolution number 7, is the transfer from the ending fund balance.
Have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Second.
Trustee Macker?
Aye.
Trustee Bloom?
Aye.
Trustee Kugler?
Aye.
Trustee Nielsen?
Aye.
Trustee Hasland?
Aye.
Trustee Croninger?
Aye.
Trustee Gallardo?
Aye.
Student Trustee Style?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we've gone through our whole agenda. No report from information technology today, so we'll adjourn into closed session.
This isn't exciting.
And how long do we anticipate?
15 minutes.
15, 20 minutes for
Yeah.
those of you that want to catch the endings.
Others you've heard, I haven't a chance. True, I've been seen